Hello, it's me. I've been pondering as I've been chopping vegetables, and I was thinking about letting go and moving on, and it was a lovely lady that I'm coaching at the moment, and you know who you are, who inspired this share that I'm going to do now around letting go and moving on. Because what I've noticed, I've been 18 years in this, and I think letting go of the relationship is the hardest thing to do, because actually there has been a death. It's not the death of our son or daughter, although in some cases we do experience that as well as estrangement, as I well know. And it's a death of the relationship, and it's a death of so many things in our lives, that, you know, our expectations, our dreams, our visions, mostly it's expectations that the way that we saw our life panning out as a mother and a grandmother isn't looking so like it would pan out in the way that we thought it would. So as I've reflected this morning on my series of letting goes, there's been many. And one of the other things that I had to let go of was hope. And I know a lot of people hang on to hope a bit like a life raft, and I found that actually hope was holding me back from letting go. So letting go isn't the same as giving up. There's all these kinds of phrases and words that I had to explore for myself and kind of find out the meaning of them, and the power is in the word. So on the various letting goes that I didn't realise at the time, I'm 18 years into this, so there's been loads of like bumpy bits, hiccupy bits, but especially around letting go, because at the start, you know, there was all the judgment about letting go for me, like, who do I think I am as a mother to actually let go of my children, you know, like leave them to their own devices. There was all that, the guilt around that. What kind of mother am I to be okay with them not being in my life anymore? Because that's what I was aiming for ultimately. I know that now. You know, I was looking to survive it, and just survive it at that point, at the beginning point. How can I survive this experience? So the letting goes came in stages, you know, and as I've gone through the letting goes, because I had to let go of my grandchildren as well. I had grandchildren in my life. And strangely, that, I don't know if it was any easier. But what I had was like moments where I had a funeral at one point for one particular daughter. And then I've had funerals for others. And the funeral isn't the death of them. It's like the death, it's the letting go stage of having an end of a relationship with them. And in some ways, the way that I've naturally picked to walk through this seems to have stood me in good stead, because I've come out the other end whole. You know, I'm not hanging on to anything. Not that I'm aware of. And there could be more down the line. Who knows? It's like, it's an unknown. It's like life itself. It's unknown. I don't know what comes next. And right now, you know, I'm back in a new life. I'm not back in a new life. I'm in a new life. And I'm back into being me. And the amount of let goes that I've had around my personality, the thoughts of who I am, it's huge, it's massive. So if you're right at the beginning, this estrangement thing isn't given to it's a bit like old age. It's not given to the faint of heart. You know, if you're experiencing this, there is a part of us that has to step up big time into finding out how to grieve well, how to change some things about our lives that no longer work. We have to let go of a lot. It's not just letting go of our son and daughter who has chosen to exclude themselves out of our lives, because that's what they've done. They've chosen for themselves to exclude themselves out of our life. It feels like they've rejected us and abandoned us. But if you flip it around, they've chosen to exclude themselves out of our lives. And that sort of reframe really helped me. So often it helped me. So this letting go thing is massive. There's a huge resistance to it in us because we don't want to do it. It involves a lot of grief, a lot of pain, a lot of reflection, a lot of working our way through that. And then what I've noticed as well is that there's this moving on aspect. And through this lady that I'm working with, what I've noticed is that a lot of us will make massive changes as well as we get to some sort of completion in the estrangement and make these realizations that actually I have to live again. There comes that choice of, okay, so what am I going to live into? If I'm not going to have this vision that I had as being a parent, a mother, a father, a grandparent, a grandfather, those kinds of things, what am I going to do instead? And that's a big question, because it looks like there's a big gap, and you're kind of letting go of this life and moving into this life, and as yet you kind of know what you're leaving, and as difficult as it is to do that, there comes a time when you think, I have to let go and move on. And then the next problem comes is, what am I moving on to? There's a big gap. And whilst you've been busy focusing on letting go of this and working through the estrangement, some of us may have been half an eye on, well, what am I going to do instead? But a lot of us who've been deeply entrenched into the roles of being parents, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, fathers, etc., we haven't really looked. And it can be quite, well, you could choose it to be exciting or you could choose it to be scary. Some of us might still be in employment, so that kind of takes care of that part. And if we're not employed, if we have been a housewife and mother and whatever else, a family, somebody who kept the family together for a long time, you know, you were like the centerpin, because mothers and women often are, we're the ones that like hold it all together. If that role's gone, what the heck are you now? You know, what is life going to, what am I going to choose for my life is a much more powerful way to say it than what I was going to say. So, you know, choice is about how am I going to live my life. Now, what I've noticed as well is that some people, because that part of their life has gone, they move house, they change their job, they change their relationships with other people. Everything, absolutely everything gets put under the microscope when in this estrangement journey. So if this is kind of making sense to you, and I think the biggest thing that I've realised through working with this lady is once your eyes are taken off how to let go, how to deal with this, and you go into the next stage of the not knowing what my life is now, that's when it becomes another set of adventures. You know, what do I want to do? What do I really want to do? What do I love doing? Obviously, I found my thing here is like helping others in this. And yet you might have a secret artist inside you, or a musician, or a gardener, or those things that you really love to do. It is usually either being in service or tending to nature or being part of the creative realms that so often get looked over in the world of work that we live in. So what do you want to do next with your life? It depends where you are on this journey as well. Some of us are still really immersed in making sense of it, making sense of who we are now that this has happened in our lives. But some of us are ready to step into the next adventure. And it could be that, you know, that you can feel that your focus has been for so long on estrangement, how to sort it out, all that how to stuff, that you perhaps have forgotten how to look to your own life and what do you want next. And that's a big adventure. You're right back in your sort of like your childhood. Like, what do I want to be when I grow up? What a lovely question to ask yourself. 60s, 70s, 80s, no matter how old you are, you know, what do I want to be when I grow up? And letting go of this needing to be needed. Because I never really wanted to be needed as a parent. And I sense I've always wanted to be wanted. And there's a huge difference there in being needed. People used to say to me, oh, they'll come back you when they need you. I didn't want that. I didn't want them to come back when they needed money or childcare or emotional support or all that stuff. I wanted them to come back because they wanted me in their life, that they enjoyed me. And that was quite a big moment for me, realising that actually I don't want people who need me, I want people who want me. You know, enjoy me. That has been my sort of deepest desire for myself, as wanting to be wanted, you know. And so many of us get used to being needed and being helpers and rescuers, and I guess a lot of us, you know, gave up our own lives for our children. You know, some of us talk about how we sacrificed our life. I don't feel I ever sacrificed mine, because I did keep a little life of my own ticking on the side. It was not easy. There was a lot of guilt, like who am I to think to go out and play hockey whilst my kids are at home with their dad or their grandparents, you know. I felt the dependency from my children, hard, you know, hugely and hard. Overly responsible, not allowing other people, you know, all that kind of stuff, you know. I suppose at that point I was needing to be needed, or was I don't know. I'm still exploring that, but maybe that's old history. I just know now that I want to be wanted. And I'll say again, you know, I don't want my girls to come back because they need me. And that's not to say that I wouldn't be there if they were in dire straits. Of course I would. It's just I'd like them to come back. If they're happy and healthy in their lives, I'd love them to come back and want me, rather than thinking that I owe them something or that they are dependent on me for something. They're too old to be dependent on me. So this big adventure of, like, if you let go of the focus on how do I let go, that's the last let go. How do I let go of wanting to let go, you know, focusing on letting go? Because then you have to move into the realm of what do I want for me, regardless of whether they come back. And in some ways, you know, that gives a really lovely space to a reconciliation, because you get busy on your own life, and then one day maybe they rock up and knock on the door, and you've been busy in your own life and creating a life for yourself with enthusiasm and passion. And I think that's such a lovely gift to your children, all of us. I think you lost me there. My device is overheating, I think, because of the sun. Gosh, the light doesn't look so good, does it? Got my bell rings from my eyes. What was I saying? Yes, I've forgotten what I was saying now, and it was really quite good what I was wrapping up with. Yeah, they come back into your life because you've created a life for yourself. You've got your passions, you've got your... Yes, that was the thing. I think the greatest gift that any parent, the legacy that a parent can leave an adult child or inspire, is to be inspiring, is to be living your life fully. Because the message is, you know, that I don't want my kids to feel guilty, and if they don't connect, let's pull this curtain across a bit. If they don't connect before I die, I don't want them to feel guilty, but I'm not in charge of that. And the way of me kind of like giving them, well, she enjoyed her life. Even without us, she enjoyed her life. She did great things. She ended her days fulfilled and inspiring. That's what I want for me. And if I'm going to leave my child a legacy, it's one of that I lived a full life, regardless of how they checked out of my life. So I'm hoping that this, well, no, I'm not hoping. I'm trusting that this is kind of ticking some wisdom, your own wisdom boxes inside of you. It's so easy to get stuck in there trying to fix it, trying to understand why. And that's a natural phase to go through in the beginning. I don't want you to discount that and skip straight through to what I'm talking about. Breathe, Sunday. Finish your sentence and breathe. What I'm really inviting you to do is to honour the grief, to honour the discomfort of not knowing and all those questions that we ask. And then as you move through, trustingly, that you read the material in here, that you support each other where we're at, all of us in our journey. Some of us still stuck, after many years, still stuck in there trying to understand it. trying to live with the pain of it. You know, some of us get stuck there, which is fine. And some of us move through that and start to create a new life for ourselves. Happy, whole, healthy, fulfilled, not taken down by their decision, not our lives not ruined by their choices. And who knows what that will then create. To stay in the mire of it all diminishes the possibility of reconciliation. To actually move through it and gather new skills and new confidences and new visions of who you truly are optimizes the space for a reconciliation, because you'll be so much more grounded, solid, resourced if they come back still arguing the same things, that you did this, you did that, whatever. You should know what you did. All of those things that they throw at us, we can handle it. So I'm going to leave it there. I love you and leave you. And if I look as bad on the recording as I feel I do on the live, please excuse my dark shadows. I think I need to find a new place. I've just been vain now. I love you lots. Keep looking within. All the stuff is in there. It just needs some hoovering out, some levering out. I love you lots. Bye for now. Bye.